So this is going into turn 2 of the God Kings, and turn 2 is basically representing the years 1475 BCE down to 1450 BCE, about 25 years. And so everyone's got to get prepared for the next turn. So the Mitanni collect tributes and wood points. Wood points is some of the valuable areas in this game for this era. And they put garrisons inside the walls of Nineveh, Amari, and Adaniva. And then the Mitanni build 7 chariot units and a mercenary. The Egyptians also build 6 chariot units. They've got a warrior pharaoh right now, so they're going to try to use these. Babylon builds 6 chariots. And the king of Babylon, Kashtalash III, dies and leaves his throne to Ulamburiash, who also is not a very effective leader. So we'll see how that plays out. Also, the Hittite king, Hantili II, dies, and he's succeeded by Muwatalli I, and he builds 3 chariots and puts a garrison in the city of Troy. Now, I realize I didn't do this last time, but I'm going to show some pictures of each of the empires before we get going too far here. So this first picture is of Egypt. Egypt is in the green, and you can see their empire is stretching all the way from the Nile area into Sinai, Canaan, and right up into Damascus and Tyre and Kadesh and that northern part of the Fertile Crescent. Then in this next picture, in the purple, we see the Babylonian Kassites. And you can see that their empire goes all the way down into Sumer. And they control Ur of the Chaldeans, the Uruk, Lachish, and then they have their home area with Babylon. And then they also go up into what later becomes Assyria with Nineveh and Assur. This next picture in the blue is the Mitanni. And you can see that they are kind of in the center. They've got the Babylonians on the right, they've got Egypt on the bottom, and then they've got the Hittites on the left. So these guys are always going to be under pressure from more than one side. But you can see currently they control Paddan Aram, Carchemish, and Megiddo. And one thing I will also mention in this game, what happens is the Mitanni kind of fade out and nobody kind of really knows what happened. And so in the game, what happens is the Mitanni fades out, Assyria comes in as a power, and the Mitanni player just plays the Assyrian power at that point in the game, keeping all of the points for both empires. So that's how they work that detail out here. Finally, our fourth empire here are the Hittites. They are in the orange, and you can see they are canvassed all across Anatolia or modern-day Turkey, and you can see how the Mitanni are making some inroads heading west into their territory. Round 1 is not too exciting here. The Egyptians start having problems because the Mitanni player played a revolt card on him, so Egypt loses Damascus, Byblos, Tyre, and Kadesh. And so that's a big blow. However, Egypt has Tomosa III, and he's ambitious and he's looking for battle. So what the Egyptians end up doing in this round is raising the royal guard to strengthen that army. Not much happens with Babylon. They have a weak king, so they're just kind of, jockeying their positions. The Hittite king, Muwatalli I, moves into the province of Lucca, and the Hittites have a very bad hand to play this time. So we'll see how that works out for them. Going into round 2, the Babylonians have trouble this time. The Mitanni player, he's getting back at everybody. He plays the popular upheaval event against the Babylonians, and the entire province of Sumer is just lost as far as it's gone into revolt against the Babylonians. And you can see that in the picture that I've provided here. That's completely open country now. Pharaoh Thomosa decides to start trying to reclaim some of his territory, so he races his army into Damascus. He runs into another chariot army there, but he uses a overwhelming battle card to automatically win the charge and get battle advantage, and he routs the enemy army, which falls back to Tyre. Then the Babylonians use the Oriental Cruelty event card so that they can reclaim everything that they had lost in Sumer. And the Hatti take political control uncontested of Milawanda. And then we go to round 3. In round 3, the Mitanni king is going at it with the Babylonians at Dur Ketlimu, and the Kassite army stands there, but they lose. The Kassites end up routing and displaced back into their home region. And Dur Ketlimu is captured by the Mitanni. The Egyptians finish off the Amurru revolt, and remember from the last round, the Amurru have withdrawn to Tyre, so Pharaoh Tamosa III begins a siege against Tyre. And then in this next picture you can see the Hittites, and unfortunately what has happened is the Hittite king Muwatallia I becomes ill, and he dies in the province of Aluka, and he is succeeded by another king, Tudhaliya II, who is also a very poor leader, and combine that with the fact that the Hatti have poor cards. So it's not a good turn for the orange player. We go into round 4 of turn 2, and the Egyptians end up having more problems. The Mitanni have played an event called the Coalition of Megiddo, and this throws Canaan into rebellion. So the Egyptians continue to focus on Tyre and the siege that they have, but they really don't accomplish much. So this is not going well for this pharaoh. Also, a Kassite general, a warlord, marches to Nineveh with an army, and he takes control of Nineveh from the Mitanni. And of course, the Babylonian king, Ulam-Buriash, he's sitting in his palace enjoying the good life and letting his warlords do all this fighting. During the 5th round of turn 2, the Mitanni player uses a minor campaign card, so he's allowed to move 2 warlords or generals or leaders, and you can see in the picture, he has set up his forces to prevent the Babylonians from encroaching on their kingdom. So it's somewhat of an aggressive defensive move. Also, another thing that happened is the neutral Megiddo forces seized control of Sinai. So that's going poorly for the Egyptians right now. But they continue their siege of Tyre, and the Egyptians finally conquer Tyre. The Hatti are not doing very much. They have bad cards and a poor leader. So as the turn comes to a close, it's another very close call on an automatic victory, but it wasn't met. And I have to imagine that maybe the other kingdoms are not focusing enough on the Mitanni as their enemy right now, and getting distracted by side conflicts, because the Mitanni collect 19 victory points this turn. The Egyptians and the Hittites both get 7 victory points, and the Babylonians get 11. And so this is the current standing. The Mitanni have 38 points, the Babylonians have 20, Egypt has 17, the Hittites have 13. So this ends turn 2. If you'd like to see more of what happens on turn 3, please stay tuned for another video. Have a great day.